Hi guys, I would be streaming right now, but I'm making this video instead because I'm so annoyed. I've been reading discourse about the Dragon's Dogma 2 microtransactions and the release of the game, and there's on the internet, there's a war, and right now it's between dick eaters and dumbasses. And I am just, I'm beside myself. I actually got up early to record this video before I go live. That's how upset I am. So basically, I want to talk about the microtransactions. Now, before I do that, let me explain what they are. So, Dragon's Dogma 2, game released by Capcom, and the game has microtransactions in it, and it doesn't have just simply, oh, you buy this sword, and your sword is glowy blue instead of the normal gray. No, the microtransaction is that you have an extra item that you can teleport to in the world. Now, can you buy the item that you need to teleport with? There's like the teleportation endpoint, and then there's the teleportation currency. It's like basically you can buy the car, but you can't buy the gas, if that makes sense. So there's that's added. You also have to pay $2 to change your character, and I think there's a couple of other smaller microtransactions that have even less of a gameplay impact than that. However, Dragon's Dogma 2 released these things into the game on release without really telling anybody, as kind of just a little bit of a surprise, you know, hey, suck a dick, right? And so that's exactly what these cosmetic transactions do. They suck a dick. They're bad. There's nothing good about them. They're not adding anything to the player base. They're not making the game experience better. They are bad. And that's all they are. There is no silver lining. Well, I guess the silver lining is they don't really fucking matter that much in a game, do they? If you've actually played the game. And this is the problem, is that, so why, I feel like this happens in PoE, is that every season that there's a lot of like lag or there's something wrong with the season, like for example, people can't log in on day one. Those are the seasons where there's a lot of drama because people can't play the game. And so Dragon's Dogma is the same way. People can't play the game because, well, the performance on the game on PC, this has never happened before, right? PC game, PC port's bad. And so performance is really awful. And so unless you're playing on a pretty much state-of-the-art PC, like I've got an insanely fucking good PC. I've got a 4090 in mine. I've had zero problems with performance, but I am the 1%. So the majority of people have had terrible performance issues, and the game has been dog shit. And it's been such dog shit that Capcom has acknowledged that it is dog shit, and even said, hey guys, maybe we're going to try to fix this. Now, so that's number one. Number two, you obviously have the fact that the game is a full price box game, and it's also not receiving, as far as I know, any sort of after the fact content support. Like they're not adding anything new. They haven't announced anything like that this is going to be like an ongoing live service game. You are basically buying a game, a single player game, and now you don't have to, excuse me, now you can spend money in order to make certain things in the game easier. Now, I think this is terrible. This is bad, and again, people that are trying to make it out like it's not bad are, I think, trying to justify the fact that they're out $70 for a game that shouldn't have microtransactions but actually does. So, here's the fact. You don't need to buy these microtransactions in the game. They will probably not change your experience all that much, and they don't have any real tangible impact on the gameplay, and this is coming from somebody who's played the game quite a bit. Now, do they have a small 5 to 10% at the very beginning of the game effect? Yes, they absolutely do. But outside of that, they're not really going to have a long-term negative effect on the way that people consume the content of the game, assuming that one day they're actually able to play it. So, why is it bad then? So, I've got a couple of reasons why it's bad, and the first reason actually is because of PUBG. We're going to be talking about PUBG 2 times in this video if I remember the second time. Number one, do you guys remember back in the day, and by the way, this is also not just PUBG, if you're a Fortnite enjoyer, I remember Warzone was like this, do you remember how good the game was back in the day, and like you would get killed by somebody, and you'd think to yourself, damn, that guy is really good. And then once they had all of the cheaters, the aimbotters, the people that had map hacks, all these things, you stopped thinking whenever you saw the kill cam of somebody who killed you, and you stopped thinking, wow, this guy has really good tracking, and you started thinking, wow, this guy is cheating. Or maybe sometimes people just get a lucky shot. That's what happens. But what cheating does in games like that is it ruins the integrity of the game, and it puts everything in the game as a potential, it makes it all sus, right? It's like, is this something that is in the game because it's supposed to enhance the gameplay texture and, you know, embellish and create better gameplay? Or is it just simply in the game in order to create a need for people to spend money for microtransactions? And I think that's where the real problem is that whenever you have a microtransaction that is convenient, and, like, you know, for example, fast travel, respecking a character, doing anything that your character that would make gameplay more streamlined or one-dimensional, or just simply easier, that saves you time in game. Really, that's about it. Anytime that you have that, what you do is you create a profit incentive for the developer to make the game less convenient, because logically, this would what would make sense. How do you sell a product? Well, you create a need. Well, how do you sell a product that is a convenience feature? Well, you create an inconvenience. And so that is the problem, because if you look at this logically, there is an infinite fairy stone in Dragon's Dogma 1. But as far as I know, in Dragon's Dogma 2, there isn't. And I understand this was added in DLC, but what I'm saying is that this is indicative that there could potentially have been a philosophy shift in moving around in the world. Also, I know that some people are taking the quote that the game director said about how fast travel is bad, and then using that as him trying to, you know, like, talk out of both sides of his mouth, and just like, oh yeah, well, he's only saying that because he knew they were going to sell them. I bet he doesn't want to sell the microtransactions either. I bet he thinks that's dog shit too. It's just that, you know, a publisher, a big company like Capcom is like that. I don't really think that there's any real relation there. It's just that the marketing company and the accounting company usually, and very unfortunately, have the final say in monetization for games like this. Final Fantasy XIV is a very, very big extreme and exception. So is Baldur's Gate 3. So anyway, the problem with these microtransactions is that they create an incentive for a game to be inconvenient. And in a game like Dragon's Dogma, where there are a lot of inconveniences that even in the first game created different elements of texture and different elements of kind of, you know, struggle that make the game experience more thorough, and it makes it more real. Every single time that you experience one of those, whenever you see that there is a bypass in the store for that, it always makes you think, in the same way that you would think in PUBG, that, oh, maybe I actually didn't get killed by a good player, I got killed by a cheater. And you're thinking about, in games like Dragon's Dogma, maybe I'm not actually doing this because it's the developers or the designer's vision, but it's actually just the vision of the accounting department instead, and so I'm playing a scuffed game because they want to get me to spend $3 more. So that's what really hurts games, and this is for single-player games, this is for multiplayer games, this is for every type of game that has pay for convenience. Now, obviously, there are some exceptions where it's not really quite as bad, like something like PoE, but PoE isn't really great either. It's just probably the best version of it being problematic. And I think that this is something that, again, whenever a developer has an incentive profit-wise to do something, you can expect for them to do it, because all of these developers exist inside of a company, and a company exists to make money. So that's why the microtransactions are bad. They are bad even in a single-player game. They are corrosive, and there's even fucking like 300, 400, 500, probably 70, somewhere around there actually, IQ take that I have, that maybe it is Capcom that is doing this, and they know that the microtransactions don't really matter that much, because this is an important, also a factor too, that some people are ignoring. You can play the game and not have anything to do with these microtransactions. There's nothing that you need to do with these microtransactions. They do not have a tangible impact on gameplay. They're not really bad. It's almost like they're basically shooting themselves in the foot for no fucking reason. Like, why are you doing this? I don't understand why. I think it's just simply because they don't care. And so whenever I see this happen, I find it to be very, very disappointing, because the game itself, and I look through the Steam reviews, everybody is positive about the actual game, but it's everything that surrounds the game that makes the game a piece of shit. Like, for example, the performance issues, the microtransactions, and these things. And my, like, conspiracy Andy tinfoil hat theory is that are games adding in these worthless microtransactions to create, like, false positives so the public starts defending them, and that way it normalizes microtransactions so they can make them more pay to win and more inconvenient in the future, and because people have already been trained to accept them. You see what I'm saying, right? And so I never really know this, but that's where my head goes. And so, yeah, I don't know if that's happening or not, but whenever things like this happen, that goes in my head, and I think a lot of other people are thinking some variation of that as well. So it's bad. It's bad. Now, do you need them? No, you don't. Does it help you win the game faster? Probably not in a real, like, effective way. Is it bad, though? Yes, it's bad. I don't know why people are trying and just, like, just tripping over themselves. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I have to defend my $70 purchase. Guys, if you buy a video game, if you buy a game and you're having fun in the game, then that's all that matters. You don't need to have other people on an internet forum board or another balding middle-aged man, like, oh, I wonder who, tell you that your consumer purchase was actually a good decision. You are a grown fucking man in a lot of these cases. I know my demographics. You're a grown fucking man. Stop acting like a bitch. If you want to play the game and you don't care that it has microtransactions, that's totally fine. But that does not invalidate everybody else's concerns. And I think that the concerns that I and many other people have with microtransactions in games as a whole is extremely sound, and it is founded on 15 years, not of, paranoia, but 15 years of experience. And I think that we've seen this happen, and that's why so many people are upset. So yeah, that's basically what I think about the microtransactions. Again, the performance thing is dog shit. What's sad to me is that I think that there are a lot of things in Dragon's Dogma 2 that could be way better, but I can't talk about any of those because nobody can log in. So I can't even talk about, like, oh, I don't like how the story is incongruent with the first story. I feel like, you could have had a Dark Souls 1 to Dark Souls 3 thing. The, lore in the second game should have been, referential to the events in the first game. I think the dialogue isn't very good. I think the story is kind of boring. Like, the side quests aren't really quite as interesting. I feel like, there's a lot of real actual issues in the game. Like, the moving the character. This is the second time I was going to talk about PUBG. I swear to fucking God, moving this character on PC, I had an easier time moving my PUBG character. I've driven cars that have better handling than my character in Dragon's Dogma. Holy shit. But here we are, we're sitting here talking about the performance, and hey, I get it. I totally understand. But in 10 years, whenever everybody has a microchip in their brain that's better than any computer that we have now, and they're playing Dragon's Dogma 2, your character's still going to move around like a fucking 1980 Toyota truck. And so, yeah, I'm upset about this. This is what I have a problem with. And I can't talk about it because people are so fucking mad about the microtransactions. They're so fucking mad about the performance. And they're not wrong. They're not. They're completely right. And so are the people that say that it's not a big deal. But neither side invalidates each other. And my point with this whole thing is that if you are one of the people that is getting mad about these things, please do not go, like, you have to, at one point or another, make a fucking decision for yourself on a personal level. You have to decide, am I going to go and buy the game and play it, or am I going to boycott it and decide that I don't want to do that because I don't agree with the way the game's monetized? Gentlemen, both decisions are totally valid. It is your money. You need to do what you want with your money. But the problem here comes whenever other people get mad and try to tell you what to do with your money. This didn't work with Hogwarts Legacy. You're not gonna, you will not bring anybody over to your side by harassing people who are playing the game. You will not bring anybody over to your side by getting mad at streamers for playing the game, or people for making videos about the game, or talking positively about the gameplay, because they're not picking up your standard, your hobby, you're not riding your hobby horse, they're not fighting for your cause. This will never work. Nobody likes to be co-opted like that, and it is counterproductive. It will make everybody who is against microtransactions seem like an overbearing, hostile asshole, and it will make people reflexively against us. That's really the truth. So stop doing that. You're actually hurting yourself and you're hurting everybody. So that's number one. Number two, you need to make a decision with what you do with your money. Stop fucking buying this shit. Stop spending your money on games that you don't agree with. Stop rewarding it, because again, gentlemen, vote with your wallet. Remember whenever Blizzard said in Shadowlands, oh, we can't fix covenants? And then everybody quits the game and they say, wait a minute, now we can? It's because they don't really give a fuck about anything except for money, so you gotta speak the language that they understand. And that's the factor, guys. So if you want to stand done business, you don't want to buy a game like this, I totally fucking respect it. I totally understand it. And if you do want to buy a game, you've got a difficult life. You've got 5 other problems in your life. You've got 3 kids, 2 wives, 6 jobs. And the last thing you want to do is get concerned about another internet crusade about a video game. You just want to play a video game and relax and throw your pawns around. Hey, totally fucking fine. But please, guys, for both groups, stop invalidating each other. This is completely valid. This is totally okay. And I know, guys, oh, this is kind of a lukewarm take. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm not a fucking extremist that wants to go on a crusade about a video game, okay? Like, it's actually not that big of a deal. People will forget about this. Nobody will actually give a shit. And it's very unfortunate this is the case. But it certainly is. I wish it wasn't. I've spent 10 years trying to make sure it wasn't. But we're burning the candle at both ends, gentlemen. We have kids that have been grown up and groomed into microtransactions, probably an extreme word. But kids have grown up and been normalized. It's been normalized to them. And then you also have older guys that don't have the time anymore so they can pay a microtransaction and get to where they were whenever they were kids. And so you see that middle ground of like actual core gamers that grew up in the 2000s and remember how good Xbox Live used to be. Remember how good it was whenever you just buy a game, and that word that nobody even remembers. This is the ancient text. It's a term. Nobody's heard of this in probably like, well, ever since Baldur's Gate 3. It's a term called feature complete. That means whenever the game is released, it's a complete game. And we've forgotten what that even means. And I think that a big reason for that is microtransactions, with other things as well. So whenever I see these things happen, I totally understand, I totally empathize with it, and I wanted to make a video and talk about this because I find it to be so problematic. It's annoying me to see how many people are upset on both sides, and I just wanted to kind of give, you know, at least like my take on it and what I think about it. And I know obviously some people might not be happy that I'm not like massively choosing a side and fighting for them, but I'm fighting for reason and common sense. That's my perspective. I know this sounds like a super fucking like a high horse thing to say, but I feel like I am. Let's talk about what's real. Let's talk about what's actually happening, and let's not live in a fantasy world. And I think that that goes for both sides. These microtransactions are not ruining the game. And also, microtransactions collectively could be, we don't know, but they could be ruining many other games. So, and we just don't know it yet because we don't know how these microtransactions and the monetization and the structure of it was created in a way that is negative or bad for viewers. And so, or sort of for players. I spent a lot of time on Twitch and YouTube. So yes, that's basically what my perspective is on this. I wanted to talk about it. Dragon's Dogma 2, great game, dog shit monetization, shitty, what do you call it? Shitty features like you can't have an extra save, you can't make a new character. This is just like it's unheard of. How is this even possible that it's happening, right? It's so bad I didn't even believe it until I heard it, right? And all these things are bad, and it's so sad, right? Because so many people were excited about this game, and the release of it is mired down in like this really completely unnecessary controversy, and it's disappointing because, as I said, I played the game. I haven't had the performance issues at all, really, and I really enjoyed it a lot. I had a great time. So to see other people that aren't able to experience that, and it just sucks. And I think it sucks for a lot of the developers that made the game too. So yeah, wanted to make a video, talk about it. That's my thoughts, and hopefully. I don't know. Hopefully they fix the game, right? Hopefully they fix the game. Are they going to get rid of the microtransactions? Probably not. But, you know, again, guys, don't buy them either. Anyway, that's it. Peace.